he goes, please, let's talk. And let me tell you what happened. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know anything about it. It's enough. And I go to Nicole's room. That was that conversation after Jacob, which I don't know if it was a Saturday or Sunday.
Forrest told you he did not go into the house on Wednesday?
No, he told me that the kids said hi, that everything was fine, that they had a nice time. He wasn't precise about the place.
Mm-hmm. Were you saying something about a hair? What were you saying about
Jacob was saying, write down everything as you were by the time you spent in Jennifer's house. Where did you eat? Did you put any plate inside the house? Do you remember going to the bathroom? And Foti said, no, I did not.
My father said that to Jacob.
To Jacob.
To Jacob, that he had never been in the house.
Yes.
Okay.
And
maybe
then
a hair went in? You said maybe a hair went in.
Because he said, well, Jacob, I don't know if maybe a hair went in because we were playing, we were hugging, and maybe in the kids' clothes.
Was he bald at that point?
Yes. It was.
What they've done here is pin something down. Fotis told her and Jacob that he never went inside the house. So if he later claims that he did go in and there's an excuse for his DNA to be there, then they have this statement from Michelle. The other thing I see here is this concern. What if there's a hair? What if I hugged the kids and a hair got on the kids and ended up inside the house? That's a real possibility. And there's a big difference between hairs being somewhere and touch DNA being somewhere. DNA deteriorates. A hair hangs around. It can fly around anywhere. It can get transferred over and over and over, whereas touch DNA can only get transferred so many times depending on how much there is. And Michelle's focus here is she was upset because Fotis didn't tell her about all this picnic and all of that stuff. She's overhearing this now because Fotis is talking to his lawyer. And the lawyer's saying, well, you better write a timeline, which is a thing that a lawyer would say. Do it now because you're going to forget. So far, we have seen no evidence, no indication that this timeline is anything other than a timeline, them recording their memory. Fotis's motives and what he's thinking, I believe, are completely separate from what Michelle is thinking.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Jacob told him to write down everything that happened on Wednesday.
And
do you know if he did write it down?
No. The one we wrote like rapidly was the one on Friday.
Rapidly?
She just said she didn't know whether Fotis wrote it down or not. All this stuff about Wednesday. She doesn't know. Again, that's an indication that this wasn't a thing that they worked on together or agreed upon.
Bueno, rapidly was.
Why was Harper missing from that on Friday? That Friday date. Both of you seem to miss Harper. Both of you.
And
that's pretty clear he's dumping trash all over the city and not having it.
First of all, we've learned later that timeline ended at 5:10, and the trip to Starbucks was after that. Michelle also didn't include picking up her daughter. So I see where the officer is coming from here. I see why he asked the question. Maybe they're conflating something here. She's clearly stating that this timeline was written at the direction of the lawyer for the purpose of remembering what she did. This is not a statement to police where she's intentionally omitting something. She's following directions from a lawyer and from Fotis, and this is what she does. I think if she wanted to omit something really important, she would have included everything around that. You would see her picking up her daughter. You wouldn't see any trip to Hartford. And you gotta remember, in her mind, first of all, she wasn't the one throwing out garbage. She was under the impression they're going for coffee. While that's happening, she's saying, why are we going here? Why this area? And why are you, throwing away garbage now? I thought we were going for coffee. So in her mind, this garbage thing, that can wait. If she knew what was in those bags and needed to hurry up and get that done, she wouldn't be questioning, why are we not going to Starbucks now? Like, why do you have to do this right now? For most of us, I think it's a pretty weird thing to be driving around throwing out garbage. For her, though, to see Fotis doing that, this was something she'd seen him do before. So she's not going to think much of it. So I think that's an important point to remember. So again, in the timeline, she's not omitting something in a statement to police. The timeline was not for the police. It was a document for her lawyer. I'm curious as to why this was admissible at all, considering that prior to the police finding this timeline, Michelle had told them about it. And the other thing too is if she wanted to hide the fact that she was in Hartford, driving around Hartford, why would she take her cell phone with her? This is not this diabolical scheming thing that they're getting into their heads that it is on Michelle's part.
The one we wrote like rapidly was the one on Friday.
Okay. Rapidly?
Well, no, rapidly was.
Why was Hartford missing from that on Friday? That Friday date. Both of you seem to miss Hartford. Both of you.
When
And
we
that's pretty clear that you're dumping trash all over the city and not having it in your mind to say, we weren't Hartford dumping trash. That is not there. And that's one thing we pressed you on after your arrest. You actually finally gave it to us.
Can I show you the complete one?
Yeah.
You show the one I did, or is that not supposed to show?
Yeah, I mean, what they're saying.
Or even in Fotis's writings, like Hartford.
Okay, I don't
That's
know.
a pretty
I didn't-
important. That's where we found everything.
Okay,
That's
I know, but I didn't.
That's what led this to you now.
I know, that's why
And
I'm
that's-
true.
She's trying to say something and he won't let her. He just keeps talking.
It looks bad. It looks
She
bad.
did one for you after Eddie. Or we had one for you.
You do? Okay.
Well, because what I did, I went through my AT&T account to my daughter's,
No, sorry.
to my daughter's phone, my mom's phone. So in between information of the people that I know I talked that day, I said, please send me screenshots. I forward them to Andy because I don't have it.
Notice that she's saying she had to go back and look at her phone records and talk to people and say, what did we talk about? Where did we go? Trying to piece together what happened on the 24th. If she had conspired to commit a crime, if she had conspired to also cover up this crime, and they're so diabolical and so careful about everything. If they're knowing that they need an alibi, why does she need to look at her phone records and figure it out? They would have their alibi all set up before the crime occurs. There would be no trying to figure it out. It would be so clear and rehearsed. I would expect if she had worked out an alibi in advance, because that would go to conspiracy, which is one of the things she's charged with, I would expect every flipping detail. But that's not what we're seeing. I would expect every detail except for the crime itself but that's not the case. There are a lot of other details, including Fotis throwing out the garbage, not her. There are a lot of other details that she also doesn't include. And the fact that she has to go through her phone records and try and figure it out tells you this was not something worked out in advance. And that actually goes against the prosecution's theory or case on conspiracy. I'm not seeing conspiracy here. I'm seeing somebody scrambling going, what? I don't know what I did the other day. But they're taking it and going somewhere else with it. When I say they may be conflating, I don't just mean the fact that this timeline was written for a lawyer and is not a police statement and therefore should not be interpreted or treated as such, but also who did what and whose intentions are what. Michelle and Fotis are two different people. And just because somebody is living with somebody else or in a relationship with somebody else doesn't automatically mean, A, that they know everything about the other person, that they know everything about what the other person is doing, or that they are in agreement on everything. I mean, come on. Those of you who've lived with somebody, I mean, you know. And just because he has bad intentions or does bad things doesn't mean that she's doing those things. It doesn't mean she's agreed to these things. It doesn't even mean that she knows about these things. And I'm seeing this in the trial as well. And in some of the public commentary, people are assuming that because he did something, that she somehow must have been a part of it. But everybody out there who has partners, you know that's not how it goes.
I went and then because I don't remember, like, I'm so in shock, I don't remember. So I said, why I spoke with my mom 16 minutes? So I called, my mom is here. I said, Mommy, what did we talk about? And she said, we talked about you coming to my house.
Sure.
Since the rain.
That one's, this one's 3 hours.
Yeah. Still red.
Still going?
Yeah. Still red. Red beans.
Yeah, they're still going.
Red dot. So we are, looks like we're at 2:20.
I mean, I don't know what you guys thoughts, but I just don't think I don't think she's holding anything back. I don't think she knows.
I don't think she knows.
No.
She's very adamant about Starbucks in West Hartford. Why, if I was gonna go around the city with Richie Colangelo because we wanted to go on a mission to dump all of our trash over the city, I remember that for the rest of my life. It wouldn't just slip my mind.
We're gonna do it one day.
This is the danger of taking what's normal for you and applying it to somebody else. There are certain behaviors that most of us would see as normal, but that doesn't mean it always applies to everybody. So he's taking his experience, and that's fair, and saying, well, if that was me, that wouldn't slip my mind. Well, no, it wouldn't slip his mind because that behavior is not normal for him. If his wife drove him around all over the place and she was throwing out garbage, that would not be normal for this detective. So fair enough. And I said too in the beginning, oh, come on, she's driving all over the place with him, throwing out garbage, and we're supposed to believe this is normal? I thought the same thing. So I get where he's coming from. And I think a lot of you listening get that. But she's told them, and this is where the listening part comes in, the necessity of trying to understand somebody else's experience and somebody else's frame of reference. For her, that is not unusual. So it would slip her mind. But I think he's going to stay stuck here with, this is my experience, and therefore that must apply to everybody else. And that's not how it goes. And that's how you make mistakes.
We got her.
Unless she's legitimately on the phone, talking and texting, and she's not paying attention.
Did you hear that? He said, we got her. He's made up his mind. He has decided. And this isn't even the other guy who decided before. Now this detective has made up his mind. That's it. The female detective off screen here is saying, wait a minute, maybe there is another explanation. Maybe she was on her phone. Let's look at the possibilities. That doesn't mean the female detective is on one side or another. What she's saying is, hey, let's keep an open mind and look at everything. But these guys have made up their minds.
And texting, and she's not paying attention.
Yeah. I mean,
And then
She's
when they-
outside the car, dropping up.
She's come with me.
She was?
She's,
Yeah,
She was outside the
she
car?
was open, her door was open, and she's outside, chilling around.
her story was that she dropped gum and she realized it was sticky and she.
Yeah, she wanted
her
to
door and he got to
pick up her gun when she dropped.
She's the one person in the world that ever just. After dropping.
Especially, yeah.
She actually didn't say that. What she actually said was she spit out her gum and it was sticky. And so she was wiping her hand on the sidewalk to get it off. I don't know, maybe she didn't have a Kleenex or anything in the vehicle to do that with, but that's what she said. So they're already getting it wrong. And why do you get that kind of thing wrong? A few reasons. One is that you just incorrectly remembered, which happens. They're dealing with a lot of information, right? And another reason why you can get things like that wrong is because as it's coming in, you're interpreting it, and in your head, you're filing it in a place. And it's not always the place where it should go. It's filed in the category that fits your interpretation, not what was actually said. And I'm not saying this is malicious. This is what we all do.
Maybe she is, but
I think there's a bit of self-preservation too.
yeah, right, because she's thinking like, what the fuck?
But to have a point, the Harvard thing wasn't on any of this. And it
Correct.
sure
We
he
had
had
a
a
press
press
release.
conference.
And we didn't find.
Until they showed her picture.
We didn't find any notes on the 22nd, which is what the attorney told us to recreate. And he said Wednesday for photos. What we ended up finding was Friday and Saturday for both of them.
Right, well,
But Hartford's not in either.
Why?
don't we know why? Because
If I'm understanding this correctly, they're talking about the timelines that they found, and they are treating it like it is one when it isn't. While one of the detectives was interrupting her and talking over her, she was trying to tell them, no, I didn't write that. She didn't write this whole thing. But they're treating all these pages as if it's one document. And it is not. She has told them that, but they're not listening because they're still on this thing. Well, why did she omit that? Along going down that same path where they've conflated a timeline for your lawyer or a timeline for your own memory with giving a police statement. That timeline was never meant to be a statement to police, and you can't treat it as such. And now they're taking these two different things written by two different people and putting it together as if it's one. It's not Michelle who put that together and said, this is one document. In fact, she has said it is not. She didn't even know what if Fotis wrote something or what he wrote. She knows what she wrote. They are the ones taking that and turning it into one document. And now that I'm hearing this, it makes sense to me that earlier in the trial, when they were just presenting the document just to try and get it admitted, the defense lawyer was asking, well, are these 3 separate pages, and these 3 separate pages are put all together in one exhibit? Why is that? I wondered why he was doing that, and now I get it. And that's why. Because they aren't one document, and they shouldn't have been put together and presented as one document.
they didn't think it was right now. They didn't think we were smart.
But that's just the question.
Now we found out.
Because he got the book, that's why he shaved his head. He left his phone home, but didn't think about, dumping the trash, leaving his phone on there.
Right. And then I believe, I just believe that starting to cover that cell tower area, because we're up in Albany, that's right by Albany Ave. So that's why we're there.
Wait, that's it, we were at this, no, it's basically there.
Oh, that's good, good.
I have one.
And just, we're still here with.
I have another question about this dumping the trash thing. If Michelle and Fotis were conspiring, and she knew what was in the bags, and they were going to dump the trash, why isn't she getting out and helping him so it's quicker? And if she's not going to get out and help him, and she's carrying her cell phone with her, why does she even go? And when she's asked, she doesn't hide her presence. She says, oh yeah, that's me. Why admit that? if that's what you're trying to hide. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense that Fotis would drag her along with him, but it doesn't make sense for her to agree to go.
That's where it is. We're up in Albany, that's right by Albany Ave. So that's why we're there.
Wait, that's it. We were at this, if they were called that. No, it's basically there.
Oh, that. That's a good call.
We're still here let's take it for a hike tomorrow. Let's go for a walk.
Yeah, let's go for here, why not?
So what do you think about that West Hartford story?
But here's the thing, the guy in West Hartford, but here's the thing, I mean, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, she's great.
You were right.
What? What are you talking about? The Hartford thing.
Yeah, another thing, I don't know if this helps, when Pavel on Tuesday in the morning, or when before going supposedly to New Canaan, Fotis also said to Pavel, write a timeline. And Pavel said, why have to write a timeline? No, I memorized everything, I know it by. So Fotis was making us make timelines.
Whoa, Pavel is the owner of the Tacoma. Does Pavel frequent New Canaan? Because she just said he was going to go there. And I don't know if this is a language issue or if it's a specific quote, but it jumped out at me that she's saying Pavel said, I don't need to write a timeline because I memorized it. Now, because of the language issues, she might be describing him saying, I remember. I won't need to write a timeline because I remember what I was doing that day. But if it's really, I memorized it, if he actually said that, if that's a quote, and it's not clear here, then that's something different. Because why would you need to memorize something? If you weren't involved in anything, you're more likely to have to do what she did, which is go through your emails, go through your records and say, oh I went here. Here's this receipt from the grocery store says it was on this day. So that must have been the day that I went grocery shopping or whatever. You need to figure it out. You don't just have it memorized, right? Do you memorize every day that you live? Especially if they're all ordinary days, do you memorize those? So it might mean nothing here because of the language issues. This may not have been a direct quote of Pavel. This may be just the way she's speaking. So I can't tell, but it does jump out at me. And if Pavel, the owner of the Tacoma, has cause either regularly or from time to time to go to the place near where Jennifer lives, well, that's an avenue to dig further into. And I have no idea whether they did or not and whether or not we're going to see that or hear about that. But this is very interesting. And again, it's Fotis saying you guys need to do timelines. So Fotis is dragging them into it. Why does Michelle have to do a timeline? Did the lawyer say that everybody in the house has to do a timeline? Did all the employees have to do a timeline? Who did the lawyer direct to do the timelines? Was it just Fotis? Did the daughter have to do a timeline? Michelle's mother? Other employees of Fotis's business? Why is Fotis telling Michelle and Pavel that they have to make timelines? What's he up to? Because if they're the only ones, and I don't know whether they are or not, then that's real interesting too. That gives you insight into where Fotis is in his head.
What?
Of that day, I don't know.
Of which day? Wednesday?
No,
the Friday?
the Friday. Because,
But Pavel questioned, like, why do I have to do this?
yes.
He was confused.
Oh, and this was in the kitchen. And
Pavel was there.
Wow. That was a leading question. And nobody's saying anything about it. Nobody's stopping that. He's assuming how Pavel reacted. The proper question would have been, well, any number of it. Did Pavel understand why? How did Pavel react? What was the look on his face? What did he act like? And half of this question wasn't even a question. It was, so Pavel was confused. She didn't say that right away. He just led that.
The three of you having a conversation, this one
But,
picture.
yes.
And which day was this? Do you recall?
Monday was Memorial Day, no? So this was Tuesday?
Tuesday?
The following Tuesday.
Yes. When Javier, I guess, came to the office, or at some point during the morning.
That's normal for the office,
Yes.
like routine leaving, he shows up, goes to the office, that's
No,
normal.
no, this wasn't in the office, this was in the kitchen of the
Is it
house.
normal for Pavel to be in the house like that?
Yes,
Normally?
because he takes the keys and it's in the drawer to pick up the car that he's taking, and because
Where's-
usually we're sleeping, he comes in,
Where does he leave his keys? Does he ever leave his keys with the house?
you
You guys-
in his car or inside his bedroom.
I'm just trying to figure out patterns of behavior, that's all.
Yeah.
Pavel, where does Pavel leave his keys? It's a good question because the question becomes really who has access to the Tacoma? And she says, no, he doesn't leave his keys in the drawer. She's sure about that. She seems unsure about where he does leave his keys. She says in the car or in the truck, she does this a lot where she'll say something and it's not clear whether she's just guessing or assuming and then giving the answer because they need an answer. So she's trying to give something. So I don't know if she's assuming they were maybe left in the truck or if she knows that. If somebody else, like maybe Fotis, could get that Tacoma without Pavel even knowing, that would be a really important piece of information. But we also know that the Tacoma was seen very early in the morning, like I think it was like 5:30 or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. At the Mountain Springs Row residence. What time does Pavel usually show up at work? And that Tacoma wasn't seen driving into 80 Mountain Springs even the night before at any point. So did that motion activated camera simply miss it driving in? Or had it been parked there for a long period of time?
And for this, did say, right, he said, I was here, and I said, no, I have it in my mind, I don't need to write anything. That I remember happening. So yes, for this wanted us to do a timeline because supposedly Jacob told him.
Did Fotis tell you what, hey, you know what, do the timeline, but don't say anything about Hartford, about throwing in the trash?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what you asked me. No, he said, let's do a
You
highlight.
know, smart like Andy? Wow.
Oh.
I came up with the same question Andy did, so I feel smart.
No, we just said, yeah, like write what you did, so you don't forget. He kept saying that, like write what you did, so you don't forget.
Did he go over it with you after you had written?
No,
Did you guys, did he compare notes with you? Did he guide you in writing that? Did he guide
no,
you?
but he did go like, okay, what's
Is it
the
highlight?
we ate?
Just saying, highlight here might be dropped off trash. If he's telling
He asks her a question, which is a good question, and the answer is very important. Did he guide you? And then he keeps talking and won't let her answer.
you, hey, see
No, he said, so at what time you eat? And I said, no, 12, 1, 2.
but you put, what you're telling us tonight is you did not see Fotis in the morning, correct? You wrote
No,
it.
this was like on Sunday when we wrote.
Weekend.
This is
Right,
not the
when you're-
weekend when we write the time.
Right, so you're writing the timeline that you saw Fotis in the morning, you guys took a shower together, you guys had breakfast, and in this interview today, you haven't seen him. So what I'm asking you is,
She did not write that on the timeline. She did not write that on the timeline. No, that wasn't an editing mistake. I am repeating myself on purpose.
breakfast.
in the original timeline, you saw Fotis left? Yes.
In your notes.
The point, Michelle, that's being made is that when you and John and I first talked, you told us you got up and you took a shower with Fotis. You guys had breakfast, and a lot of this stuff is in the timeline that Fotis wrote.
Breakfast, I don't remember.
Now you've changed that.
She's saying she doesn't remember. I get where they're going. They're taking the timeline, but they're saying that she wrote it when she did not. Fotis wrote it. And they're referring back and saying, wait, you changed your story. Which I guess you could say she did, or you could say she clarified. Because what she had said was, usually we do this. And because of the language issue, sometimes it's not clear whether she's saying this is what we usually do or this is what I actually saw. It's not always crystal clear what she meant or what she thinks that they've asked her. Even though the conversation seems fluent or fluid, there have been a number of points at which it's not really clear. And this happens with interview subjects who do speak the same language as the interviewer. Because when somebody asks you, what'd you do Thursday morning? You're going to rattle off sort of your normal thing. And you might not understand that they really need you to be specific in what you actually remember and not what you usually did, not what you probably did. Can you characterize it as a change in story? I suppose you could. Could you also characterize it as a clarification? Absolutely you can. And I would lean more toward that. And she's, at this moment here, a little bit confused because they're now challenging her on something Fotis wrote that she's not even aware of. And let's talk about Fotis writing his timeline for a minute. He would write the usual thing that they usually do. She may well go along with that because, okay, well, that looks right because that's what we always did. So if somebody came to her and said, Fotis said you got up at 6:40 and did XYZ and what they're doing is rattling off the routine, she would go, that sounds right. Now, they haven't done that, but can you see how that can happen? And she hasn't seen what Fotis wrote. At this point, she doesn't even know what he wrote. So she doesn't know what he wrote, yet this is somehow a conspiracy.
For a show, we're trying to see.
Breakfast.
No, you probably.
Lunch, yes.
Alright, who wrote this?
That's not my letter. That's not.
Just serious.
Okay,
Did you write this?
no, that's not my
Okay,
letter.
well, that's why I'm asking you. How about this? Did you write that?
That's not my
Do you recognize that handwriting?
It's Fotis.
Okay, so Saturday looks like Fotis wrote the Saturday document?
What's that?
Okay, I'm just labeling it for the video. So Saturday, 5:25, that looks like Fotis' handwriting to you?
Yeah.
Is that okay? And I'm only showing parts. This also, that's not your writing?
No. My writing, that's Fotis.
Okay, so Fotis wrote the Friday and the Saturday.
Of his timeline, not mine.
Well, this is actually, it has elements of both of you.
Right.
Pero he wrote it, not me.
Now they're holding her responsible for what he wrote. The detective is correct when he says, well, it has elements of both of you. Yes, it does. But that issue and questions around that issue are better directed at Fotis, not Michelle. Fotis wrote it. Fotis conceived it and put it down on the paper. Michelle didn't even know what he wrote. How is it that she's responsible for what he did that she's not even aware of? How does that work? He's diabolical, but somehow she's responsible because he wrote something. How would that work in any kind of court case for somebody to make you responsible for something somebody else wrote? Does that make sense to you?
That's not my
That's why I'm
Right, we were asking because Fotis is
Where it sounds like he's wrote it, because it's writing it, because it doesn't say I, it says,
Well,
it says Michelle.
That's him. Like,
Michelle, where would your letter be?
Yeah, where'd you?
can I show you?
No, did you?
The one you wrote with
No,
Jacob.
the one that you wrote, in the, with that step, with that Tuesday, did you leave it at the house?
He photocopied and he put it in a bag. In
In a
a
briefcase?
suitcase, yes. In a bag, in a black suitcase.
Okay.
With a computer of Guillaume.
How many computers normally in that suitcase?
What was that? That
If she's trying to hide this from them, Why is she just coming and spilling out what it is, where it is that it went? Or the fact that Fotis photocopied it. So Fotis wanted a copy. Well, there's a question for Fotis. Why did you need a copy of what Michelle was doing? And again, that's a question that should be directed at Fotis. I mean, maybe she knows why. I don't know. They haven't asked her that yet. I don't know if they will. But she's saying in the suitcase, she calls it a suitcase. Well, that's exactly where they found it. But somehow she's still responsible for what he does. And this, I think, is one of the central pieces of this entire case. Is this attitude that the spouse is somehow responsible for everything that the other person does.
Guillaume was a guy that worked for Fotis, but he's stopped working for Fotis.
So it's a Guillaume
last
computer.
year.
It's just a computer.
Bueno, it's a computer of Forgo, but we call it Guillaume's computer because
Oh,
it was
because it was
computer.
just-
How many computers are normally in that suitcase?
That suitcase is Fotis and I've never opened it. That always
That
was
had
in the
room for
office.
3 suitcases, 3 laptops.
But I have my computer, that you guys have it. Fotis has his computer, then that was Guillaume's.
That bag was Guillaume's?
No, the computer.
The computers.
There's one, it's Forgo, but we call it Guillaume's. It was the computer that Guillaume used to use while he would work for Forgo.
Michelle, what I'm trying to say is that we found the bag, we found the photograph copies of this letter, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And normally, are there 1 or more computers in that bag?
I don't know
You
because
don't know.
that
That's
was
fine.
quite mine.
I don't.
She just finished telling them, I don't know what's in that bag. That's Fotis's bag. I never open it. Now he's asking her what's in the bag. How many computers are in the bag? She's not going to know.
I don't know the perfectly reasonable answer, that's why we're at this.
And there's another big computer all in the office that I do all the photoshops, the pictures, because it's the only one that has programs.
Does Pavel have a computer?
Yes.
Where did he get that computer and when did he get that computer?
Pavel works for Fotis before I met him, so I don't know.
So you don't know?
No.
Perfect.
So you said
And Andy, there was another guy working called Andy
Lewis,
and he was there that week. He went for a day, I think Tuesday or Wednesday, to work on Ronnie's budget for what Fotis doing. But I did see Andy in the office.
Oh, this guy who used to work for Fotis, who wasn't there anymore during the week of the crime, has reappeared? You'd have to look at that. How close is he with Fotis? Could Fotis have taken that Tacoma and gone with this other guy? The other guy parks the Tacoma on Lapham Road. Fotis rides a bike to Jennifer's house. That's what he does. Puts her in Jennifer's Suburban and drives back. And this other guy helps him put her in the Tacoma. And remember in the school bus video, the Tacoma was parked on Lapham Road in the morning and it disappeared from there. I actually shouldn't phrase it that way. It wasn't caught on camera again in that location. Subsequent to, I think, 7:57 or something. And we know that Jennifer was still alive at that point. That Tacoma had been moved somewhere. While Fotis was riding his bike to Jennifer's, was whoever had the Tacoma moving it somewhere to wait? I don't know. I'm speculating. But my point is, I've gone off on a thing. My point is, she is introducing a new bit of information. Let's see if they jump on that new bit of information.
Tuesday or Wednesday, I don't remember.
So you said you made a photocopy of the letter you wrote. Where did the original letter go? Because if you made a copy of it and you put the copy of the thing, where's the letter?
Sorry to keep interrupting. He says you made a copy. You made a copy. Where'd it go? She didn't say she made a copy. She said Fotis made a copy. So they're hearing what they want to hear.
The letter is the one that I gave you.
That's the one you wrote with the other attorney the day after.
I didn't write anything with me.
No, you wrote it because.
They asked her this, and she gave them the answer. And again, they are feeding something back to her that is not quite true. He's saying, oh, that's the one you wrote with the other attorney. She's already been asked if she wrote it with the attorney. And she clearly said she did not. He's feeding this back as if she said she did. Imagine if we all held all these detectives to the same standard as Michelle is being held to. They are English speakers. She is not, yet she's being held to a higher standard of accuracy than they are. And the other thing I'll note is that she gave what she wrote to her lawyer, which was what she was supposed to do.
Because Fotis told me that Jacob said, right at time.
And you have your original, you have it?
And I have.
She gave it to us. Yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering, if you left your original there or what, that's what I was asking. No, thank you, now we got it.
And I took it with me, and there was a copy supposedly, maybe there's not, did you find my copy in that
I
bag?
don't know, I wasn't there, so I can't really answer that.
Can you talk about Andy Loomis? You brought his name up?
Well, because he was there on Tuesday or Wednesday for a day.
Okay. You had, what was the last time? Before. Before Jennifer was missing, or the Tuesday after Memorial Day?
I think it was before.
Before. And prior to that time, when was the last time you saw Andy Loomis? Is it frequent he comes by, or?
You know, he used to work for Ford.
Yeah.
He was hired, full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Colorado, apparently Fotis said, Andy, I cannot pay you.
Right.
I didn't know until I arrived because I asked him, where's Andy?
How long ago was that?
What?
That you're talking about?
No, this is in March.
March. Well, yeah, this is good. So back to March, Andy Loomis is gone with the business. With the business.
From Ford Group.
You from Ford Group.
Yes.
Since March till Jennifer's disappearance, is Andy come around often? Do you see him? How was his relationship with Fotis was?
Work. With Pavel, he has a better, stronger relationship because he knows Pavel. Pavel used to be the one that would do his walls of the house. So he would be like an independent contractor. And then Fotis hired him to be like a project manager.
Andy.
I mean, no, Pavel.
Pavel. So what I'm asking is from March, when Fotis lets Andy go from the business.
Yes, I probably
When was the
saw
last time you
Andy
saw? Yeah.
maybe 3 times more in my life.
Was that unusual that he was there on that Tuesday?
No, for what Fotis said, I call Andy, so he pays him by the day, I guess, I don't know.
Okay.
But I call Andy to help me work on the Pavlovis budget.
Okay. Does Loomis and
So Fotis is giving her basically an excuse for why Andy is there. Well, he would need to if this wasn't a routine thing. This is very interesting that this guy shows up. I have no idea where this goes.
Pavel, do they dirt bike together? I don't know if he just brings them back, you guys have a lot of property.
Pavel's bike, Honda that he's driving, and you can see it's mine, it's under my name.
Does he go back there with any friends other than you?
Two.
And Pavel, you and Fotis go back there?
I only driven motor with Pavel only one time.
One time?
That was this road.
Okay.
This big loop, only one time, and that was like 3 weeks ago.
What was it?
I don't ride with
I thought I'm just kind of losing track here, but the 15 times, what was
with
it?
Fotis and me.
Smaller route.
Gotcha. Alright, I'm gonna get.
Of the 15 times, some of them, there was 1 or 2 of the big large.
Gotcha.
Large one.
Right.
And then you just mentioned Pavel goes back there too,
Only one time with me.
with you, that you know of.
That I know, and I think he supposed it for what his impression was, that my impression that I got from him, that he'd never been there before.
Was it just you and him, or Fotis was there as well?
When we went in the motor, no, that's why I'm not gonna go with Pavel and I.
Okay, so when you guys did that, did you stop and
No.
take in the sights anywhere and would walk around, or
We
you
just
just?
go, I mean,
you
yes,
just drive?
I stop it, like if I fall, if Fotis fall, which with the 3 of us we fell
Okay.
at some point, in one of the,
But you didn't stop and spend time in a certain area, you just rode, fell, got up and rode?
yes.
So, after Friday, the 24th, has he been on his dirt bike back there? Has he been going back, riding, doing this?
Not that I know.
Okay. Was he came back from the backwoods dirty, sweating?
When Fotis dirt bikes, does he wear anything on his hands?
Yes, we
What does he wear?
And we just bought them in Miami.
He did? What kind of gloves? You know?
Veteran,
Yeah, well, what color? Are they
black.
black? Are they
It's like,
rubber? Are they leather?
mine are leatherish, and it has protections here, mine.
Okay.
And I think he bought the same like mine.
Okay.
I think it is.
So black leather gloves?
Or grayish. Either two. No, because he just got them. He used to use my bicycle gloves that are gray with black, that are
Do
Trek.
they have any markings or any like?
Trek.
Trek.
The brand Trek, they were my
Oh, Trek.
Trek. My bicycle gloves, because at some point he lost his gloves and I gave him my bicycle gloves. But those are not moto gloves, they're bicycle.
Right, so they don't have fingers.
They don't have, no, they do have the fingers, they don't have the protections for moto.
And when did you lose those gloves?
No, a year ago.
What brand are his knee gloves?
She's not sure.
I don't know, it can be Fox, it can be KTM. The equipment of KTM, I got it to him a year when he bought the moto as a gift. The black pants with the stripes and an orange shirt.
She doesn't know that they found gloves in the garbage. If she knew, if she was part of it and knew that he'd used gloves and thrown them out, she wouldn't be describing these black gloves that they just recently bought so they would look new. She would say, oh, they were bright green. I mean, she'd say something else, wouldn't she? If she was conspiring and trying to cover up? Just a thought.
The Fotis generally wears black leather gloves when he motocrosses.
The new ones that he got, if they're not leather, they're kind of, but they're more like, not neoprene, they're like a little bit stretchy.
So we talked about what happened Saturday after Jennifer went missing. What did you guys do on Sunday?
Sunday?
Yeah.
Sunday, he went to meet Eugene, supposedly.
Who's Jean?
Eugene, his lawyer. Me, at 11, I was having brunch at La Salle in Collinsville with Nicole, Hatch, Aaron, Quinn, and Jules. Quinn and Jules are their daughter and son. Mm-hmm. We ate there. Then we probably stayed there like an hour. Then I took Nicole to a place that they sell, I gave you the receipt, I don't remember the name, something Jake cake or something like that. So she got a muffin in like a popsicle, a cake popsicle in Canton. And then we went to the pond, Nicole and I. We relaxed, we stayed there. In the morning I prepared a Greek salad because we were going to do eat at the pond. Mm-hmm. So I did that in the morning, sorry. Then I went to eat brunch. Then we went to buy the popsicle, whatever this thing is. We went to the pond. We stayed there all day. I water skied. That I wasn't in the mood, I couldn't, but Hatch said, go, come on, I was crying. So he said, go, go, go. So Hatch and Greg got in the boat. He said, do you want to do the course? He said, my head is not to do the course. I just want to free ski. So I free ski. Then Nicole was hungry. We went to the marketplace. We had lunch. We came back to the pond. Nicole invited a friend. The dad brought Charlotte, Nicole's friend. They were paddleboarding. I was just hanging there. At some point, Fotis arrived. He water skis. Then Aaron gives me a menu to order pizza. So what type of pizza I order?
What I'm seeing here and comparing this with what I saw and said before is an example of why having a baseline is so important. I'm noticing she gives details like that she made a Greek salad, or this person handed me the menu. It seems like extra details. Because I've seen her enough now. This is how she is. This is just the way she talks. The first time I saw her being interviewed, I thought and commented, oh my God, she's going on about this white cooler. Who cares that it's white? Why is she giving all these extra details? And it was a red flag because usually that's the way it is. However, not having a baseline for her behavior, it's difficult to tell how much of a red flag that actually is. There were changes in when she gave the details and when she didn't. I'm going to have to go back and have a second look at that whole thing. But that still make me go, there was a change here. And this is one of the reasons why it's so important to not just to establish rapport and all that, but to be talking for a little while before you get into the interview. Because if you don't know what the person's baseline is, it's really difficult to read the rest of it. So I'm seeing now that, sometimes she does inject unnecessary details. And it seems to be that's how she is. It's just something to always keep in mind when looking at these things. The red flag means red flag. It doesn't mean an absolute.
Salad. I wasn't really hungry. I ordered a pizza for Nicole and a friend. Aaron goes and get the pizza, comes back. We all ate. It was Aaron, Greg, Hodge, Fotis, Charlotte, Nicole, and I.
Aaron is Hutch's wife.
Yes. And then by probably 8, we left to the house. Maybe a little bit earlier.
Whose idea was it to have brunch?
Hodge wanted to have brunch. Well, no, wait. They were going on a bicycle ride, and they said, you want to go? I said, no, Nicole doesn't do 20 miles of bicycle, so I'll go in the car. I didn't want to stay in the house, that's the truth.
Why?
Oh, I was scared. I was
Scared.
worried.
About what?
But Jennifer disappeared, and like, she's gonna come and she's gonna kill me and Nicole. That's what was in my head.
You thought Jennifer was going to come and kill you and Nicole?
One of the thoughts, yes. That was one of my thoughts.
What would make you think that? You've only seen her once and that was car to car.
Because apparently she had all this illness, and for what Foti said that she was very angry, she was throwing motions every time. So I always felt, and I actually one time went to the police like a year ago and I went to the court, but this is like a year ago, and said I'm worried about my safety of me and Nicole. But the police said that, and I have that paper in the house somewhere, and you can check it. I don't know if that's in records, but this is like a year ago. Can't help me do it.
Because of all the stuff that.
To the officers sitting here, hearing this business of, I was afraid that Jennifer was going to come and kill me, would sound off the wall. But she explains why. This gives us insight into Fotis and what he was doing, and more insight into the relationships. Fotis is feeding Michelle all along this horrible stuff about Jennifer. Well, we know how he treated Jennifer. So from the time that he even met Michelle, who knows what he was saying about Jennifer? Who knows what he was feeding Michelle so that he could get what he wanted. He needs her to perceive things a certain way. He needs her to believe things that favor him and that favor the outcomes that he wants. And so they've had a couple of years together, he and Michelle now. So that's a couple of years of building upon whatever foundational lies that he gave in the beginning. Who knows how wild the stories were that have been poured into Michelle's head for a couple of years. The second thing here is, if Michelle went to the police, there will be documentation somewhere. They can go verify that. Because again, that goes to her state of mind or her perception of everything. If she thinks that Jennifer is alive, because that's what Fotis has told her, that, oh, she's hiding, she did this before. She thinks Jennifer's alive and everything's really weird now because she's disappeared. Like, what is she doing then? Or she thinks there's this crazy lady out there. Because Fotis put all these ideas in her head. Looking back at that police report could be helpful. It's also proof of the fact that Michelle was given a certain idea. And the fact that Kent helped Michelle make a police report, I suspect that Fotis and Kent figured if they could get Michelle, or anybody else for that matter, to create an official document that somehow showed Jennifer in a bad light, that would help Fotis in the custody battle. That is just what popped in my head. I don't know if that's what happened. Fotis has a lot of people willing to do his bidding.
Fotis told you?
Yes. I'm like, okay, this woman is gonna come and kill me because I'm like...
Okay, so you're at the lake and so Fotis shows up.
Yes, and he said I spent time, because he went to New York.
Did he get
That's what he told me.
to see his children?
And the police was there, he called the police, it supposed to be an hour, he couldn't see the kids. Fotis told me he called the police, and the police came in New York City.
Maybe the police got called up.
Okay, I don't know.
And here's an example. Fotis gives Michelle the impression that he called the police when he went to New York. What he was doing by going to New York is actually engaging in stalking behavior because he wasn't supposed to have those kids. He thinks, or it appears that he thinks that now he can just do what he wants. He can go get his kids because Jennifer's gone.
And what was did he get to see his children? And what was his mood like when he came back?
He was supposedly concerned,
But he wasn't,
not crying.
and was he angry?
Concerned, angry,
Concerned,
and he
angry?
couldn't take the kids because in his mind he was gonna bring the kids. He told me, I'm gonna bring the kids.
Okay.
So he didn't come with the kids. I guess that's why he was upset, angry, concerned. I don't know.
Which one is it?
I don't know. Maybe he was upset.
Did he indicate to you he was upset?
I could spell. Now I know.
You've been with him?
Yeah, when I saw his face, he was like upset, like disappointed.
Did you ask him any questions?
Yes, and so what happened? No, I didn't see them. I know that they have a bodyguard. The police came. One of the police came down and said that there was a bodyguard. That's how he knew. That Lauren and two other people were there. So he told me he never knew what the other people were. And then I think he met Eugene. That's why he was, for what he told me, 5 hours, 6 hours, maybe more.
And at any point, so when you two initially greeted each other,
What is good? And I say hello?
yeah, were you friendly? I mean, was it,
Oh, I hugged him, yes.
did you say anything to him? Jokingly or otherwise?
I think I told him I love him. I hugged him. I'm like, did you see and then I asked him, did you see the kids? And then he said, and we were all sitting there. It wasn't only just me. It was Aaron was sitting there.
I believe you.
Okay.
I believe you. Don't worry.
No, I'm not. It's like I feel like no one believed me.
No, if we didn't, we wouldn't be here right now.
Okay.
But did you ask him if he thought that you two would be able to have sex in jail?
Yes, I said that as a joke.
Why would you say that as a joke?
because he said that police could have arrested me in New York, and I said, well, if you get arrested, can I have, how do you know?
They talked to other people who heard it.
I've heard people make jokes like that. Personally, I have a dark sense of humor, and so do all my friends. I understand that people joke like that, but it doesn't look good for her, does it? I don't think that she seriously thought at that time that Fotis was going to go to jail. I think it was oh, you better watch out, Fotis kind of thing from his friends. And she goes, and makes the joke. I could see that was sort of the mood in the room, but I could see how that would look pretty bad.
Well, Greg was there. Greg, Aaron, and I think Hodge. We were all lying in the grass.
So the jail comment was about what had just happened in New York?
In New York?
Yes.
Okay.
Not about anything else.
You mentioned a girl named Kim earlier, is that Kim Rose?
Yes. That's the mom
I know who she is.
of Lauren that we went out.
She's the cousin of Mike Rose, the attorney.
Yes. Yes. No, you know why I think I said that? I think someone said, well, Fotis, you could go to jail because the first suspect is the husband. I think now what you're saying. I think someone said that. And I said, as a joke, because I'm usually stupid and I joke, I said, oh, can you have sex in the jail? And we all laugh. That's how that joke became. A stupid joke. I'm sorry about that.
So the search warrants were done
Which search?
on the houses and your phones and everything.
And the swabs,
The
your
swabs.
fingerprints.
Remember when you, well, that,
That was in the night.
yeah, I know, but remember when all that stuff was done? So they've done search warrants on the house that you lived in.
But before that, they did, you
We
guys
did the
Yeah, they did the body, yep, you and Fotis, right?
Yes,
They took your cell phones.
yes.
So after all that was done,
Mhm.
did he have a conversation with you as to why
Why what?
it was done?
What was happening?
What did you say to
I
that?
was upset. I'm like, why? And
Did you
but
talk with him?
we were staying, he got a hotel in Naples, and we were actually staying, he got 2 rooms, and I said, no, I'm sleeping with my mom and Nicole, I'm not sleeping with you. So he said, please then sleep with you guys. And I said, yeah, on the sofa. So me, Nicole, and my mom, we've been sleeping in the bed, he slept in the sofa outside, but because he had the lights on, he closed the door. Obviously, I was with Nicole, putting her to sleep, hugging her, whatever you do as a mom. He wanted to go and rent a car because I had to come here and see Andy. I said, and he said, I'll take you. I'm like, no. Andy said, and I called Andy. I said, Andy, is it good that Fotis come to me or with me? That he drives me? He said, I'd rather not. I'd rather have you come alone. And I kept saying, and he said, no, I'll go with you. And did he come with me? Well, I know you came down. At the end, we didn't come. Andy came to the hotel. We went to rent the car in Enterprise because he was pushing.
Fotis wants to maintain control. Michelle's getting fed up with everything that's happening. Understandably. Wouldn't you? She's going to go talk to her lawyer, and Fotis is insisting that he go with her, even when the lawyer says that's not a good idea. Now, why is that? If Michelle was in on all of this, she would welcome Fotis going with her so that they could keep their story straight. I'm probably going to end this here because it is getting too long. Trust your gut. See you in the comments.